Alright. Hello, everybody. My name is Segastar, and I'm going to be showing off probably one of my favorite games that I've played for years. It's called Uniracers. And one of the first things I like to do before we start a run is that I like to name the character that we're going to be using. So, right off the bat, I'm going to show off probably one of my favorite little Easter eggs in this game, and this will only take a second. So, my name is Segastar, so I'm like, okay, I want to name my character, let's say, Sega. Sounds good, right? So, but wait, the game tells us I'm not cool enough. So, that's sad. So, for whatever reason, that's just a fun little Easter egg that they throw in the game just for, fun. So, but to make it easier, I'm just gonna name myself Star, and we'll go with that. So, this is a unicycle racing game. As you can see, there are multiple unicycles that you can pick from. They're not any different. They're all basically just color palettes. You can use any of them that you want. So, I like to go with this blue one here. So the category I'm going to be running today is called 6 bronze medals. So what that entails is that there's multiple series of tracks that you can play throughout the game. As you can see, there are 4 here right now. But those question marks over onto the side, that means that we can unlock more of them. How do you unlock them? Well, we have to play through these courses first. Our goal is to get 6 bronze medals. So, I'm pretty much ready to go. So, this is what basically the series of tracks looks like. There's 5 different ones. 2 of them are just regular races, which are indicated by these arrows. These circle ones mean that there are laps. And the one in the middle, which I will show off, is called a stunt course. And I'm explaining all this now because once we get into the game, it goes fast. So, I'll try to talk as I can throughout the run, but there might be some courses where I kind of want to take a little bit more serious time. So, if we are ready to go, time is going to start at... Alright, time is going to start as soon as I hit the OK on this race button. So, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So, this is the first track. It's very simple, it's just a straight line, so it kind of allows you to see kind of how the game is played. What I'm doing here is that you can hit the shoulder buttons on the SNES controller and you will kind of just roll along. Neat little thing that the game kind of shows you right off the bat. However, you can add a little bit more to it by flipping the D-pad left and right. So, see, we're already through the first stage. And we pretty much just go right down the list. The game is nice. The arrow goes right to the next stage, and we go right to it. This is the second stage, Zoom Zoo. This is one of my personal favorites. For a while, I actually had one of the top IL times in this level. So what I'm doing here is that we're trying to build up speed on these kind of like where you go in the air. And we do that by pressing multiple buttons on the controller. It's kind of hard to explain all the combinations that you can do, but the general gist is that the more tricks you do in the air, you get a bigger speed boost when you hit the ground. So that's kind of where we make up a lot of time in this game, is by doing these tricks. So we're just kind of going along here. As you can see, if anyone notices that the track changes colors. And you can actually use the colors to kind of figure out what's coming up. So, the green is always pretty much a straightaway. The red and purple usually means that there's a turn coming up. And when you see like yellow and black, that means that the finish line is coming up. And that was pretty good. So now we're gonna go down here. This is Switcher. This is one of my favorite stages because it kind of shows you a cool concept early on that the track will split up and change. So you have to be kind of aware of it as it comes up. So this is kind of like where I said, like, knowing how the track changes colors is really important on how to keep track of what's going on ahead of you. Especially when the game kind of throws you in the harder difficulties. Because one thing I forgot to mention, the reason why this is called 6 bronze medals, because we're racing against the easiest CPU character. There's actually 2 others that you can race against. There's a silver and a gold, and they are a lot harder. So, one of the things, especially in the speedrun that we do, is that we try to figure out the layout of the tracks as best as we can. Now, I would say that it's not always 100% easy, because some of these tracks get kind of ridiculous. But so far, we're doing pretty good, I would say. And as you can see here, this is kind of like on the straightaway here. I can just kind of use it to build up speed. And we beat the CPU by a pretty significant margin. You can see some of the other times I've said already, but that's not really important. So this one's called Monster. This one is kind of fun. There's some cool. It kind of shows off another mechanic of the game where you hit that kind of like, oop. As you can see there, I bumped into it. So when you hop on that weird like white and gray track, it pulls you right into it. So you don't want to run into that because you get bumped back. But it's okay, we can catch right up. Oh, it's probably hard to hear, but I love this game's soundtrack. If anybody ever wants to go and listen to it, I would recommend it. This game was inspired, from what I've read, by Sonic on the Genesis. The developers wanted to see what they could do, kind of with that idea in mind. So now we're kind of just in the last lap here. Like, one of the cool things that this game has is, like, when you get better at it, you can start, like, adding more tricks in, like, smaller places, and you can just get that more speed. Oops, missed it there. Alright. And now I get to show off the first stunt course of the game, which is Bowl. So as I was saying earlier, this is kind of where, the tricks come into play. So now it's a little hard to see because of the color I picked, but it shows you the amount of points that you have to get in a certain amount of time. And if you know how to trick in this game, you can do it in about 5 seconds. So we have a few seconds here just to kind of we just let the clock run out. So got any donations or anything? There's questions I would be willing to answer before we kind of get into the next set of tracks.
Well, I typically haven't read donations during runs because there's enough to get them in between runs, but One Free Fits did donate $15 saying, here's that donation for opening 3 empty chests and put it towards Mystery Game 2 incentive. So that's more than half the way there. $10 more gets us Mystery Game 2. It's going to be a much better showcase than Mystery Game 1, although people have had nice things to say about Mystery Game 1. We also have a bonus run of Ultima 4 on the books and the Chrono Trigger character name incentives.
Ooh, cool. So please continue to get those donations in for the next mystery game. And with that is our first set of tracks, and get to see a fun little cutscene of a unicycle with a medal on its neck. So that's pretty cool. But now we're going to go into the next set of tracks, and from here it's pretty much the same setup, just 2 racetracks, 2 lap tracks. But the tracks start getting a little bit more complicated. So that was our first set of tracks. So now we get right into the more complicated stuff. You're going to see a lot more use of the tricks system that I talked about, which is a combination of using multiple buttons. You'll want to do flips, twists, which are your common tricks. Then you have ones that are called your Z flips, which are a little bit more complicated to do, and I completely wiped out there. Oops. Come on. This is also one of those tracks here that a lot of layout changes, so if you're not careful, this track can throw you off a little bit. Oop, come on. Nice. Alright. This game actually kind of has a fun little backstory that it only sold a certain, like a kind of like the very first production run of the game because the developers got sued by a certain company, so it's kind of sad. This track here, Mega Jump, is probably one of my favorite. This was actually one of the first levels I worked on the IL for. That's one of the things in this game. I'm more of an IL person. I don't do a lot of full game runs, but figured it would be fun to show off. If I remember correctly, I think I still have the like the second or third best IL for this track. There is a cool little skip that you can do here, but it's kind of tough to hit, so I wasn't going to show it off. But it saves like half a second or so. Yeah, see there, like when you hit a certain amount of tricks, it'll show you all the tricks you did and it comes up with like a catchphrase. That basically means that you built up like the highest amount of speed that you can get. So we try to hit those as much as we can, especially on those sections where the air is really hot. Oh, you get a lot of air time. This one is Flat Fun. I don't know if Fun's really the name I would give it. It's not really one of my favorite tracks, but it's what we do. Great Scott. That's funny. I don't see. I didn't know that they had that catchphrase for this unicycle. All you can. One thing I would say about this game is like it's kind of hard to learn the tracks 100% because it's just the way the game is. Like it's hard to react quick enough sometimes. The task for this game is like kind of nutty. So I missed a little bit of a shortcut there, but it's okay. We're chilling. Alright, not too bad. Alright, Infinity. This is a interesting track. Very short course. So that's why there's 7 laps. Oh, shoot. Oh no. Okay. I gotta restart that. That was not good. That can happen sometimes. Especially on this track. If you don't do it quite right, it throws you off. It throws you off. So let's try that again. This is why we have estimates that go longer than our PBs. Okay, there we go. This track can be kind of brutal in the harder difficulties because the CPUs are faster and they actually know how to do tricks. So it's okay. All right, we good. Got it. And now we're on our second stunt course, which is jumps. So I guess I can try to explain more of the tricks. Like you can do what's called a roll, which is when you're facing forward. Or if you use the other shoulder button, you can do a flip. So, and then one of my favorite little tricks to do, if you jump up in the air and hold the X button, you can just bounce infinitely. And when you let go of it, you get what's called a head bounce. And with that, we are past the required 58 points, and we are well on our way to the next set of tracks. So, get another medal for ourselves. And now we are on to the first track here, Drag Race, one of my personal favorites. One of my favorite levels to IL. Also, if you hold at the beginning there, like where he was skidding, and you let go right at the start, like in Mario Kart, you get a speed boost, which is pretty helpful. Ah, I messed that up. I was trying to go for a speed boost there so I could jump over that hill part there, but it's okay. One of the mechanics actually that's pretty cool is that if you hold back on the D-pad while you're doing a roll and twist there, you can actually build up speed like really quickly, and you can just fly. It's really fun. I was hoping I could show it off there, but it didn't quite work. Next is ping pong. This really isn't anything super special here. Just kind of a quick track. Just mostly a bunch of loops like that. So, that's not how you want to go through that. There we go. That was pretty good. Hope everyone's having a good day so far. Happy to be part of day 2. Ah, that's good. We ended on a great Scott. Can't go wrong with that. So now next is hybrid. Another one of my favorite ones to IL. At one point, I can't remember correctly. I'm bad at memory, but I think I got pretty close to having the IL record in this stage for a short time. But then I lost it. So that's okay. I mostly mod the game now, so other people can IL the tracks. Oh, that was good. I like that. So, next is shortcut. There is a shortcut in the track, but other than that, it's not really anything too crazy. Ah, I missed it there. It's okay. I'll get it on the next lap. There we go. Got it. That's pretty much where the shortcut in this track comes from. One thing that really draws me to this game is that like its skill ceiling is pretty high. Like once you get the basics down, it's really fun to see kind of like where else you can do tricks and add time, and save time. I just find it really exciting. It's a fun game. Cool. And now we're on to our third stunt track. Hill climb. And the thing is that as these go along, the stunt courses get a little bit more interesting. So the point value that you need increases, which is understandable. But like I said, with just a few goes at it, and we are well over it. So we're about halfway through right now, doing pretty well, I would say. And you can see I managed to get a 329 on that track at some point. It's doable, but I know that's not even close to what you can get on it. Now we are on to the fourth set of tracks. Some of these are okay. First one is called Wario Paint, one of the few tracks in the game that has a neat little Mario reference, I would say. I like it. But there is a reason why it is called Wario Paint, because there are little sections of the track that have paint on them. Just something that the earlier tracks do show off, but this is like one of the first times where I would say it's more prominent. Oh. At least when we get to it. Yeah, right there. There's the paint. Oh. We just had 2 paints in a row, why don't I? Oh. Yeah, right there. Like when you build up enough speed like that, you can actually outrun the camera. So that's pretty cool. Next is Croc. Don't really know where some of these names for these tracks come from, but I don't know. I think they're pretty cool. Build up a little bit more there, but that's okay. When you go around those bends there, it's kind of hard to get it around those turns fairly easily. So it's always something that's kind of fun to try to do. Oh, there we go. That was cool. Alright, next is East. Very, very subtle name. I like it. Sometimes I forget that you can skip over that little part there, but that's okay. There we go. Overshot it. That can happen sometimes. Get a little too overzealous and you wipe out. Alright, that's pretty good. I like that. Hairpin Hill. This is probably one of my favorite tracks in the game. Just because it's fast and just a lot of cool little parts in it. I'm gonna try to do it as cool as I can, as they say. Oops. Nice. Alright, so now we're moving on to another stunt track. This is called Downer. This is one of the stunt tracks that's like really fun to try to get as many points as you can on because it gives you so much air to work with. Like you can easily get like over 300 to 400 on this if you know what you're doing, obviously. So I'm gonna see what I can. Trying to see if I can get over like 250. And the idea is that when you trying to think of the right word, mix up your tricks in just the right way, you can actually get more points. And had really time to explain that. So I got 357, so that's pretty good. And with that, we're only 2 groups of tracks away from being done. So and now you can see that the tracks over here are starting to open up. So first up is Wobble. Kind of a strange name, but I mean, I'm not the one naming these tracks, so. This one doesn't have that much going on in it, just kind of as you go further along, the tracks get a little bit more interesting because the way the game kind of shows you how certain mechanics work. So once you get to these later tracks, they might seem a little scary, but they're not too hard to figure out. And also, it's funny, like every time, like if the CPU comes up and they lose, it's always funny to see what kind of little emotions they do. This game had emotes before any of the other big games did. You can't argue with me otherwise. Next is Twin Peak. Pretty fun course. It's like one of the tracks that actually has like something related to the name of the track, which is like has like two big areas where you can get air, hence the Twin Peak, which I think is pretty cool. I would say this is also one of the longer tracks, at least when you add up all 3 laps. So now we're going to loop back. This is one of the first levels that I worked on a little bit, but there is a skip that you can do in this track, but it's kind of hard, and I was debating if I was going to go for it before today, and I decided it just wasn't quite worth trying to show off, because I can't get it consistently, unfortunately. But if I was to hit it, it saves at least a second, so... Oh my god! I can't believe I just hit it! Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Oh my goodness, sorry for the kind of loud burst there. Oh my god. I actually just hit that. Oh boy. Okay. We're moving on. Wow. That was nice. Okay, next is small cut. Alright. Try to calm down after that. Oops. There we go. There's another track here that is kind of cool. It has like different mechanics all in it in a kind of a short time. Paint, different turns and all that. Some of these later tracks get really creative and they're really fun. Oh my god. Can I please stop doing that? Alright. So we're moving on to our second to last stunt track, which is Skyer. This is kind of similar to Downer, where it's like you get a lot of airtime, but there's just slight differences in it. So the amount of points that you get here is less. Let's see. I'm gonna go for at least 200, which I think is pretty good. Alright. And now we are going to be moving on to our last set of tracks. We're almost done. Alright, last set of tracks. First track is called Last One, even though this is not even close to being the last track in the game, but they call it Last One for some reason. So this is one of those tracks that kind of has like a culmination of a mechanic that they show you earlier, and it has a little bit more to it. Like when you hit that, like you go like way down like the zigzag. Like before, it wouldn't go that far, but then it takes you farther. So a neat little, like I say, like the game mechanics slowly evolving as you learn more. So I just think that's pretty cool. This is definitely one of those games I think that it teaches you well as it goes along. So next is Marathon. Nothing too crazy here. Next is Plinky. This is a fun little short course. Oops. Alright, and we are on our last lap track, Jump Over. This level is annoying. this is a run killer, I would say, right here. And it's that jump right there. That's the run killer. And you had to do 5 laps of it. Oh, I got 1, so we'll see if... Okay, we got 2. Nice. Three. Four. Yes! Let's go. That's what we like to see. All right, we are on our last track of the run. So, uncircle. So, this is probably one of the easier stunt courses. Pretty self-explanatory. With that, pretty much the run is pretty much over. Time is going to be coming up as soon as the time hits 0. And then after that, I'll go through a couple shoutouts I want to make. And time. Whew. All right. That is pretty much the run. What was my time on that? Out of curiosity.
I don't know. Were you expecting a verbal answer? I don't like to butt in on Mike when we're still going, but it's 40:33.
I apologize. 40:33. Okay. I'm more than happy with that, considering how actually hit a couple things I was not expecting to hit in this run. So I am very satisfied with that. Didn't mean to go over my estimate slightly, but I'll keep it quick. I just want to shout out the entire Uniracers community. This game actually has quite a lot of history to it, which I didn't know about until I joined the game, with records going as far back as the early days of Speed Demo's archive. So it's a game with a lot of storied history. The people I want to shout out are our top runner. His name is Flyhack. He pretty much holds all the ILs in this game. Personal friend of mine, Mr. Cab 55. Another person who also runs the game and is a mod of the game. And there's other people in the game as well. It's a very fun game to pick up. I would recommend it. Very fun to continue to grind on as your skills get better. This category is, I would say, fairly accessible, but also I would say the IL community that we do for the game, I would say, is a perfect place to start. Just pick your favorite course and you can learn the basics. So I'm glad that this game got it. I get to show it off. It doesn't get shown off very often, and I've been wanting to get back into it. So this kind of was a perfect,
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to
perfect
watch.
culmination of for that to go. So I'm very satisfied with this run.
Yeah, the
Couldn't have
game's
gone
sort
any
of
better,
visually
I think.
plain, but you know, when you're in there moving, you are in there moving. It is quite a sight to behold. You know, when you're in there moving, you are in there moving. It is quite a sight to behold.
Yeah, that is true. The graphics are pretty simple, but it's one of those games where
Absolutely.
the graphics aren't everything, and the gameplay is what really makes it stand out. And it's pretty easy to find. We take emulator runs as well, so I would say go pick it up. It's a great game to play, and I'm very happy I got to show it off. There are other categories as well. This is not where this game stops in terms of how far you can go in it. There's more tracks that you can play after this, and there's 2 more difficulties that you can push. But this is a pretty easy category to show off, at least in terms of what the game
Yeah, I
offers.
think we all did. Thank you so much.
And I hope everyone enjoys